Welcome to Throne Theories, where we dive deep into the stories of Westeros and explore the what-ifs that could have changed everything. If you enjoy alternate timelines, character deep dives, or unraveling the forgotten corners of the Game of Thrones universe, you're in the right place. If you like what you hear, leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new theory. And, most importantly, drop your own ideas in the comments. What would you change? What story should we twist next? Now, let's dive into today's theory. What if Stannis Baratheon was named Hand of the King? It is the year 298 AC. In another life, King Robert Baratheon rides north to Winterfell, drinking and laughing, dragging with him a court of sycophants and secrets, to name his old friend Ned Stark as Hand of the King. But not this time. In this world, the Raven never arrives in Winterfell. There is no royal procession, no feast under the weirwood, no solemn ride to the crypts. Jon Arryn still dies. That much remains the same, but his final warning reaches King Robert with enough weight to stir a rare moment of clarity. Jon's death and the whisper of bastards leads the king to a single conclusion: he needs someone ruthless, not honourable, not kind, someone who will do what must be done. He names his brother, Stannis Baratheon, Hand of the King. And just like that, the game changes. Back in Winterfell, the Stark household continues their lives undisturbed. Brandon Stark, second son of Eddard Stark, never climbs that cursed tower. He never sees the Queen and her brother in the act that would have shattered kingdoms. Instead, he rides, he runs, he trains with Arya under Jon's proud eye. The Stark family remains whole. Robb does not have to become a boy commander. He is still just a son. Sansa is still a dreamer, unbroken. Arya, still a wild wolf, but with her father and brothers to keep her tethered. Ned Stark remains Warden of the North. He hears whispers from the south of Lannister ambitions and courtly tensions, but he is not called into it. He guards his people. He raises his children. He sends his bastard son, Jon Snow, to the wall, as the boy asked. In King's Landing, the mood is grim. Stannis is not charming. He does not soothe tensions, but he works, he digs, he reads, and he listens. And Jon Arryn's trail of fire leads him where it always would have, to Gendry, to the seed that is strong, to the truth buried in black hair and blue eyes. Stannis sees it, plainly, grimly, and moves swiftly. He confronts his brother in the Red Keep one evening, flanked by Sir Davos and a silent wall of guards. He tells Robert what Jon Arryn died for, that Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen are not his blood. Robert staggers. Stannis has no time for it. War is coming, whether Robert likes it or not. And in the shadows of the city, Cersei Lannister begins to prepare. She's always known Stannis was dangerous. He does not bluff. He will not hesitate. So, when her arrest is ordered, she does not run. She strikes. The City Watch is divided. Some back the Queen, others the King. But Stannis had prepared for that too. Gold cloaks loyal to Janos Slynt are removed. The Red Keep is sealed. Cersei is seized before she can escape. Jaime Lannister draws his sword, but is overwhelmed and taken alive. It is a swift coup, almost surgical. Tywin Lannister receives a raven from King's Landing. His daughter and son prisoners. His grandchildren declared illegitimate. His house dishonoured. He does not hesitate. The Lannisters raise their banners. From Casterly Rock to the Golden Tooth, lions roar. But they are not the only ones. Stannis, cold and brutal, declares the children bastards, the Queen an adulteress, and Jaime Lannister a Kingslayer once more. The realm reels, yet this time there is no Ned Stark to bungle the Game of Thrones. No offer of mercy for false kings, no delay. This time, war comes on Stannis' terms. Meanwhile, in the far north, Jon Snow arrives at Castle Black. He finds a wall teetering on the edge of disrepair, manned by old men and criminals. But his purpose is clear. His heart is heavy, yet proud. He trains, he earns respect. He befriends Samwell Tarly. And beyond the wall, the dead begin to stir. The real war is coming, but Westeros, yet again, is too distracted to notice. The year turns, and the Seven Kingdoms brace for blood. Tywin Lannister does not rage. He calculates. His daughter has been publicly shamed, his heir imprisoned, his legacy insulted. But Tywin knows the throne is fragile. He does not march blindly. He sends emissaries. He gathers allies. He calls in debts long owed, to the Freys, to the Martells, even to Littlefinger, who whispers of cracks in Stannis' alliances. But Stannis Baratheon is not idle either. With Cersei arrested and Jaime in chains, the Lannisters lose their grip on the crown. Robert, shaken and ageing, becomes a shadow of himself. He drinks more than ever. But for once he listens. His rage burns cold when the truth of Cersei's betrayal settles in. He signs the decrees Stannis places before him. Joffrey is disinherited. Tommen and Myrcella declared wards of the crown, their parentage stricken. Cersei is to be tried. Jaime, the small council shifts. Littlefinger slinks away, knowing he cannot twist Stannis the way he twisted Ned. Pycelle is dismissed, replaced by Maester Cresson. Varys remains, his whispers cautious, and now flowing two ways. The Iron Throne, for the moment, holds firm, but its foundations are cracking. In the Riverlands, the ripples reach River Run. Hoster Tully, aging and ill, sees a chance for stability. He writes to King's Landing, pledging neutrality, but Lady Catelyn is not so certain. With her sister Lysa still isolated in the Vale and rumours flying, she fears war is already here. Her son Robb grows restless. He trains more often. His direwolf, Grey Wind, is anxious, but the north remains quiet. In Winterfell, Ned Stark receives raven after raven. War stirs in the south, yet he remains where he is meant to be. The burden he once bore in King's Landing now falls to Stannis. And though he mistrusts the man, Ned respects him. For now, the north does not march, and across the narrow sea, the fate of Westeros stirs in a different way. Daenerys Targaryen is still sold to Khal Drogo. She still rides as Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, but the whispers from Westeros are different now. Her brother Viserys hears that Robert Baratheon is distracted. That House Lannister, once protectors of the realm, is under siege. This changes everything. Illyrio Maupatis, ever the schemer, adjusts his plans. Drogo, hearing of instability across the sea, begins to consider the conquest promised to him. The delay that once kept Dany from returning quickly now shortens. The dragon stirs sooner. At Castle Black, Jon Snow earns his black cloak. Sir Alliser Thorne despises him, but he proves himself. Samwell Tarly survives his training only because of Jon's protection, and the two forge a quiet brotherhood. Benjen Stark, still alive, prepares for a ranging north of the wall. And Jon, eager but untested, asks to join him. And so he does. 3 weeks later, their patrol finds sign of wildlings, but also something else. Bodies, frozen but unbroken, eyes that glow blue in the darkness. And when one of the rangers disappears, only to return pale and silent, Jon sees death move for the first time. Back in King's Landing, the trial of Cersei Lannister begins. It is a spectacle, not for justice, but for the crown. Witnesses are brought forward. Lancel Lannister speaks of secrets whispered in wine-drenched beds. Grand Maester Pycelle, dismissed but not dead, testifies of odd herbs he gave the Queen. Even Sansa Stark, still safely in Winterfell, is mentioned as a would-be bride almost caught in the Lannister web. And as the evidence mounts, Cersei grows colder, but not broken, for she has one final play. Jaime Lannister escapes. It happens on the eve of the verdict. A tunnel, a bribe, a bloodied guard. He vanishes into the night, and 3 days later, Tywin Lannister's army crosses the Trident. War has begun. The Riverlands are the first to burn. Tywin Lannister marches east with 20,000 men, cutting across the river road with relentless precision. He does not send messengers, he sends fire. Villages along the Trident are razed. Tully bannermen are harried and scattered. He does not want conquest, he wants punishment. But he is not alone. Randall Tarley of the Reach joins him, disillusioned with the instability in King's Landing and wary of Stannis's cold reforms, and Roose Bolton, ever the opportunist, sends word from the Dreadfort offering support in exchange for autonomy in the north. Tywin accepts. In the capital, Stannis does not panic. He fortifies. He raises new levies from the Crown Lands and dispatches ravens to the Vale, the Reach, and even to the Stormlands. His tone is always the same. Law must stand. But the nobility do not care for law. They care for power. King Robert, his spirit withering under the collapse of his kingdom, takes to the drink and the hunt. One day he does not return. His horse is found in the woods, riderless. His body is never recovered. Some say he died hunting. Others whisper darker truths, that Stannis had him killed, or that a Lannister assassin reached him first. But it does not matter. The king is dead, and in the wake of Robert's death, the crown passes to Stannis. He does not weep. He does not hold a funeral. He holds a coronation. In the great sept of Baelor, beneath a sky thick with smoke, Stannis Baratheon is crowned King of the Seven Kingdoms. Sir Davos is named Hand of the King. The crown is simple, iron and stone, forged in the tradition of kings who made, not inherited. But many do not accept it. The Reach declares for Renly Baratheon, who claims the throne by right of charisma, not blood. Highgarden rallies behind the youngest Baratheon, handsome and affable, offering a gentler alternative to his dour brother. The Westerlands remain at war, with Jaime Lannister returned to his father's side. Tyrion, recalled from the Eyrie, begins to serve as Tywin's voice in council. The Vale remains silent. Lysa Arryn has withdrawn further into madness, refusing all calls for allegiance. The Knights of the Vale stand idle as the realm falls apart. The North stays still, but that is about to change. At Winterfell, word reaches Ned Stark of Robert's death, and of the war now tearing through the Riverlands. He knows his silence cannot last. He holds a council. Robb, Maester Luwin, Sir Roderick, and even Theon Greyjoy. The North must act, or the fire will come to them. He sends a raven to Stannis, declaring the North's loyalty, with conditions. The North will not bleed for southern squabbles unless their autonomy is respected. Stannis, ever the legalist, agrees. And so the North begins to march, not as rebels, but as protectors of the realm. At Castle Black, Jon Snow returns from the ranging, wounded but alive. The others are real, he says. He saw one with his own eyes. He burned its body himself. Jorah Mormont believes him. The Night's Watch begins to prepare, not just for wildlings, but for something far worse. Ravens are sent south. Most are ignored. The South is drowning in its own war. And across the sea, Daenerys Targaryen watches the fires of Westeros with growing hunger. Khal Drogo, emboldened by the chaos, promises his Khaleesi the Seven Kingdoms. And with her unborn child, the stallion who mounts the world, growing inside her, Dany believes. Illyrio and the remaining Targaryen loyalists begin to gather ships. The dragon does not sleep forever. And in the heart of Westeros, the battle lines are drawn. The north marches south, banners of direwolves flowing in the wind. The Lannisters dig in, their gold-buying mercenaries and betrayers. Renly Baratheon, crowned in Highgarden, begins his own march to King's Landing. Stannis prepares the capital, converting grain stores, reinforcing walls, and arming every man and boy he can find. The War of Five Kings still comes, only now its shape is new, and darker still. The North rides. Under the banners of House Stark, 20,000 men cross the neck into the Riverlands. But this is not Robb Stark's war. It is Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, who commands them. And though he brings his sons with him, Robb, Theon, and even young Rickon kept at Moat Cailin, it is Ned's banner the soldiers follow. The Riverlands are broken and burning. Lannister raiders pillage farmlands, dragging women and children to Harrenhal. But they do not expect Ned Stark to strike first. At nightfall, under storm clouds and the howls of direwolves, Ned's host ambushes Sir Amory Lorch, cutting down 500 men and scattering the rest. Justice is swift. Prisoners are hanged, not ransomed. The word spreads. The North has come. In Riverrun, the Tullys open their gates to the Starks. Old Hoster, in his bed, weeps to see Ned. Catelyn reunites with her family, her heart torn between fear and pride. Robb walks the halls of his mother's youth, suddenly aware that he is no longer a boy. Riverrun becomes the staging point for the Stark-Tully alliance, and though Edmure fumbles with logistics and commands, Ned takes control. With his quiet leadership, the Riverlords rally. Blackwood, Mallister, and Bracken all send their banners. And then, finally, the North and the Riverlands march together toward Harrenhal. In the capital, Stannis learns that Renly has declared himself king. The insult is not just political, it is personal. He sends ravens to every lord who ever called themselves loyal. He brands Renly a usurper. Sir Davos urges caution, and the small council debates whether to treat with the younger Baratheon, but Stannis will not parley. He has the crown by law and by Robert's will. He will not share it. Instead, he turns to another ally, one the realm does not yet know, Melisandre of Azhai. She had arrived quietly, weeks earlier, whispering of a Lord of Light and a great darkness rising in the north. Stannis, ever pragmatic, had dismissed her at first. But now, surrounded by treachery with a brother-turned-traitor, he begins to listen. In the Stormlands, Renly's camp is filled with feasting and flowers. Sir Loras Tyrell stands at his side, and the Reach Lords cheer their handsome king. His charisma has won them, but their swords are untested. Then comes a message in the night, delivered by a smuggler with fingers missing and a voice full of warning. Stand down, bend the knee, or be destroyed. Renly laughs. He has 60,000 men. The Tyrells stand with him. He believes the realm will choose light over shadow. He is wrong. That night, in the black stillness of his tent, Renly Baratheon dies. Some say it was an assassin. Others claim magic. Only Brienne of Tarth truly knows what she saw, a shadow in the shape of a man, wielding a blade of darkness. Renly dies screaming. His army shatters. Half flee. Half join Stannis. The Tyrells return to Highgarden, angry, shamed, and plotting. Meanwhile, in the Westerlands, Tywin Lannister moves north to confront Ned Stark. His son Jaime rides with him, recovered and hungry for vengeance. But the Lannisters expect chaos. not discipline. They do not expect the North to fight like winter. At the Battle of the Red Fork, Ned Stark and Brynden Tully launch a surprise river assault, cutting through the flank of the Lannister host. Robb leads a cavalry charge that scatters Sir Kevan's lines. Jaime Lannister fights valiantly but is captured again, this time by Eddard Stark himself. Jaime laughs in chains. "And you finally got your war, Stark, and still you have no idea how to win the peace." But Ned is not listening to boasts. He is watching the road for the storm to come. Across the sea, Daenerys Targaryen walks into fire. The betrayal by Mirri Maz Duur, the death of her child, and the fall of Khal Drogo still unfold. But in this version, the timing changes everything. With Westeros torn and fractured, the birth of dragons echoes louder. 3 beasts rise from the flames at Vaes Dothrak, black, green, and gold, and the Dothraki call her Mother of Mountains. She does not wait years to gather strength. She does not linger in Qarth or Slaver's Bay. She prepares to sail, sooner, bolder, and Westeros, busy warring, does not yet see the fire coming. Back at the wall, Jon Snow and the Night's Watch ride beyond into the Frostfangs. They find Craster. They see signs of Mance Rayder's growing kingdom of wildlings, and they feel it, the cold, creeping terror that whispers of something worse than men gathering in the far north, White Walkers. And as the dead stir, Jon realizes the kingdoms of men are not ready. They never were. It is now the 3rd year of turmoil in Westeros, and though kings have fallen and armies broken, the war is far from over. The North controls the Riverlands. Ned Stark has captured Jaime Lannister, reclaimed Harrenhal, and turned it into a garrisoned fortress to guard the Trident. Yet Ned does not press further south. He does not want the Iron Throne. He wants peace, stability, and justice. He sends terms to King's Landing. Free the realm from war, pardon the Riverlords, hold a trial for Cersei, and return peace to Westeros. But Stannis Baratheon, now king, has little interest in sharing power. To him, justice is not negotiated, it is enforced. And while Davos pleads for moderation, Melisandre urges action. She speaks of a prophecy, a darkness in the north, of a war to come, not of men, but of ice. Stannis listens, and for the first time he begins to look beyond the war for the throne. In the dungeons of the Red Keep, Cersei Lannister stands trial. It is a spectacle, orchestrated by Stannis, cold and efficient. Cersei names no names, she admits no guilt. But the evidence is overwhelming. The truth of her children's paternity, her affair with Jaime, her schemes, all laid bare. She is stripped of titles and sentenced to exile at Casterly Rock. But she is not broken. As she leaves King's Landing under armed escort, she whispers to Jaime, "Our war isn't over. Not while gold still flows." And she is right. At Dragonstone, Stannis returns briefly to old stone halls and salt-sprayed towers. Here, Melisandre lights a great fire and proclaims what she has long whispered, that Stannis is Azor Ahai reborn, meant to fight the coming darkness. He does not believe in shadows and prophecy, not truly, but he believes in threats. And Melisandre has shown him things, visions in flame, glimpses of snow-covered battlefields, of wolves and dragons, of death with blue eyes. And so, Stannis makes a decision that stuns the realm. He sends ravens to Winterfell, not with demands, not with accusations, but with a single message, and a true enemy is rising in the north. We must unite. The realm depends on it. In the north, the message arrives just as Jon Snow returns to Castle Black. He brings stories of whites, of villages emptied, of bodies that don't stay dead. The Night's Watch has seen too much to deny it now. And when Jon sees the seal on the Raven's letter, the crowned stag of Stannis Baratheon, he feels a strange pull, not loyalty, but destiny. Ned Stark reads the letter in silence. He knows Stannis, he mistrusts him, but he believes him. Ned was never blind to danger. He knew the wall existed for a reason. And now, with the south still fractured and winter truly coming, he does what no lord of the north has done in centuries. He calls his banners not for war, but for unity. And with Rob at his side, they ride to Castle Black, not to conquer, but to defend. In the Reach, the Tyrells lick their wounds. Renly is dead. Their army is scattered. But Olenna Tyrell is not a woman who wastes time on mourning. She sends feelers to the north, to the capital, even to Essos. She knows the dragons have returned, and if dragons are coming, it may be time to place a different bet. And her bet is not on Stannis. Across the sea, Daenerys Targaryen sails. Her fleet is modest, her followers loyal, and her dragons, still small, are growing quickly. With Ser Jorah at her side, she makes landfall not in Slaver's Bay, but in Dawn. There, the Martells welcome her. Oberyn, full of fire and hate, sees in her the vengeance his family craves. The Targaryens once ruled with fire and blood. Now they may again. Dawn declares for Daenerys, and, for the first time, the realm hears a chilling phrase spoken in earnest, "Undead dragon has returned." At the wall, Stannis himself arrives. He brings men, not many, but disciplined. He brings food, weapons, order, and he brings purpose. He speaks to the brothers of the Night's Watch, not as a king, but as a soldier. He swears he will help them defend the realm, not from wildlings, but from the true enemy. And for the first time in a generation, the Watch and the South stand together. Jon Snow, standing beside Ned Stark, looks out at the frozen forests beyond the wall. The fires of the South have faded from view. The crowns and wars, the betrayals and ambitions, they all seem small now. Because something else is coming, and it cannot be reasoned with. The wall has never seen such unity. From the battlements of Castle Black, torches burn in long rows, casting golden light onto white snow. Men of the Night's Watch stand shoulder to shoulder with northern bannermen and with the armoured knights of Stannis Baratheon. Black, grey and gold, separate banners under one sky. Ned Stark commands the defence, alongside Jon Snow and King Stannis himself. And beyond the wall, they feel it. A silence too deep, a cold too unnatural. The forest waits. Then, one night, the horn sounds. 3 blasts. The White Walkers have come. It begins with screams. Scouts vanish. Fires snuff out without wind. The dead rise among the trees. Wildlings, rangers, animals. Some have no faces. Some are still wearing the cloaks of friends. And through the storm strides a figure with skin like moonlit glass and eyes burning blue. The Night King. Jon faces him on the battlefield, blade drawn, not Longclaw, not yet, and watches him raise the fallen around them with a flick of his hand. But Jon does not run. He fights, and when his sword clashes with an obsidian blade gifted by Samwell Tarly, he kills a White Walker. It shatters like ice. The tide can be turned. Stannis rallies the wall's defence. With grit and fire, he leads sorties into the haunted woods, burning the dead, pushing back the lines. Melisandre walks among the wounded, lighting pyres, chanting of light and shadow. But every victory is bought with blood. Hundreds die, and the wall itself begins to crack. Then, from the south, comes hope. Ned Stark had sent ravens, and the realm, at last, answers. The Vale rides north. Lysa Arryn is deposed by her own bannermen, led by Sir Brynden Tully. The Knights of the Vale cut through the snowdrifts like falcons on the wing. The River Lords follow, Blackfish Tully and the remnants of House Frey, those who bent the knee, bring food and spears. And from the far south, in dawn, dragons arrive. Daenerys Targaryen rides Drogon over the skies of the north, her silver hair whipped by the wind. At her side fly Rhaegal and Viserion, smaller but fierce. She does not come as a conqueror. She comes to fight the dark. Jon Snow watches her land, and for the first time in years, the north sees Valyria reborn, in fire, not ice. The final battle is fought in the haunted forest, under a sky of swirling snow and fire. The combined forces of North, Night's Watch, Stannis, Vale and Dawn hold the line while Daenerys rains fire from above. The dragons devastate the Whites, but the Night King survives every inferno. Jon Snow, now armed with Longclaw reforged in dragonfire and dragonglass, confronts the Night King one last time. The fight is brutal. The Night King is not just strong, he is ancient. He strikes with inhuman grace. But Jon, backed by Arya, who joined the fight with a blade of Valyrian steel gifted by her father, lands the killing blow. Arya distracts. Jon strikes, and the Night King dies. The White Walkers collapse into snow. The dead fall silent. The long night ends. After the war, Westeros awakens to a new world. There is no Iron Throne. King's Landing is left in political ruin, its power shattered. The realm has been ruled too long by ambition and betrayal. Instead, the great lords meet at Winterfell, where Ned Stark proposes a council, not for war, but to remake the realm. They decide together, no more one king. A council of lords and ladies will rule, guided by peace and duty. Stannis returns to Dragonstone, having done his duty. He is not loved, but he is remembered, the man who did what others would not. Daenerys returns to Dorne, her dragons now symbols of peace, not conquest. She will not rule, not yet. She watches from afar, a mother of fire, changed by the north. Jon Snow becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Not a title of glory, but of vigilance. He knows the north. He knows what lies beyond. Arya sails west, seeking a world untouched by war. Sansa becomes Lady of Winterfell, wise and strong. The north remains free, not defiant, just whole. And Ned Stark lives out his days not as a hero, but as a father, a builder, and the man who helped save the realm not by conquest, but by calm. The Game of Thrones ends not in fire or blood, but in the cold dawn of peace. That wraps up this journey through Westeros. If you enjoyed this theory, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Throne Theories, and share it with fellow fans of the realm. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did this timeline make sense? Would the characters have made different choices? And what scenario should we explore next? Drop your ideas in the comments. Your theory might be the next video. Until then, remember, in the Game of Thrones, the theories are endless,